Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is the finale of part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Just a little note, going forward, we will be taking a break, an indeterminate amount of time between part 4 and part 5. We just want to kind of move on, stretch our legs, get involved in other series. We'll talk about that more after our review of the episode at the end of the video, so you can skip around there and watch the discussion to check that out. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, we're getting into the finale. Kira's surrounded. Anything you want to say before we get into the finale of part 4?
I just want to get into it.
Alrighty, let's go. Let the voice of love take you higher.
So it seems.
So it would seem.
Careful! Don't, come on. Shit. Then get closer, Jesus Christ. Too weak for that. Oh. Can start it up.
Oh, Jesus. What? What? Ah!
Ew. 48. Holy shit. Oh. Go! Ah! Stay!
It's all over. It's all undone.
Did it just go through? Yeah.
The clock is broken, as in bites the dust.
Mm-hmm.
The post box.
Yeah.
It's over, bucko. Free!
That's awesome. Oh my god.
Fucking killed his ass.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
His head is fucked. Oh my god! I mean, he fully deserved that, but...
The dramatic irony of getting run over by an ambulance.
They're like, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
No? Thank fucking god.
What a stupid fucking way to die.
So perfect.
What?
How do you know about that?
私の親父が言っていた。この町には死者の魂には決して振り向いてはいけない場所が帰ってしまうとどうしようもないパワーで自分より前に出し振り向かせようとしていたんでは私をはめようとしていたのではあるまお前が振り向いてんどうなるか見てみたい振り向けよお前が振り向くのだ
あんたが私に対しこういう風にするだ私たちは15年あんたがここに来るのを待ってた
Good boy! Oh my god!
Oh, and his hand gets removed.
Nope. That was great.
Fuck yeah. It's over.
Oh, good boy.
る時が来たの。行かなきゃいけない。なくなったら寂しいってな。
バカ言えよ。なぜ僕が寂しいは15年も前に前にも言ったが、この世の未練とかなんとか言ってないで、さっさとは。分かったよ。最後だから本心を言って寂しいよ。僕だって言ってほしくないさ。いや
Baby. Oh, the dad with the. They kept the cat.
Oh, everyone showed up.
お見送りに来ました。死んだ人に言うのもなんだけどよ。俺も寂しいよ。
あんたは立派な女性。
レミさん、ありがとうございました。あのおかげで町は救われます。
ありがとう、光一くん。みんなで森王子を救ったのよ。
あんたのことをここにいる誰もが忘れはしないじゃん。
ありがとう、みんな。
さよなら、レミさん。
That's so nice.
さよなら。
あの人、今晩遅いわね。残業かしら。電話ぐらいしてくれても。あ、ハヤト、冷めちゃうから先。食べちゃったしは、パパが帰ってから食べる。ハヤト？
僕も待ってるよ。僕もパパが帰って一緒に食べるよ。
あんた、最近背伸びた？
僕たちの
That's so
森王朝
sad.
はとても深く傷って
That's a cool crest for the town.
つけられた。隼人君のママはご主人の帰り、しげち君の家族は息子が帰るのをずっと待つの。吉良義景に殺された娘や兄弟の帰りの痛みが深く現れてくるのはこれからなのだ。この痛みはどうやって癒せばいいのだ。血の未来にとって命取りになる僕にはわからない。
心配かジョータロ。この町を去ってしまっていい
Taking off with the baby.
の？ああ、少し私はこの森王朝の今回の事件に関わる上手。この町の若者は黄金の精神を持っているという、かつてわしらもエジプトに向かう時に見た正義の輝きの中に、たちの中に見手がある限り大丈夫。町はもう心配ないよ。
おい、ジジイ、聞こえねえのかよ、ジジイ。
誰、今一度我が誇り高き息子に別れを言おうかの。
さっき渡した俺のお袋の写真よ。ちゃんと持った？
ああ、お前の言う通りちゃんと財布に入れたよ。お母さんには会わずに行くが幸せを祈っておるよ。
そう、入れたのね、おさい。これ写真の切れっ端ね。クレイジーダイヤモンド。もらっとくぜ。
An allowance.
黄金の精神を持ってるってセリフ理解するかい？
It's this singer from OP1 and OP2. Aw. Doctorate from thesis he wrote about the starfish population. Ocean Man.
When did he have time to research that?
I mean, he was here for months.
私のとっておきのおやつを食べ、別のジュース飲んで。光一くん。
Fucking yo, Anjiro.
弁当作ってたら遅くなっちゃって作ってきてくれたの。ありがとう。昼楽しみだな。
It's so wholesome. Imagine if that would cure him. Oh my god! Probably not.
With the cat.
I was gonna say Josuke should go here to get it fixed up after that battle.
I love this epilogue. It's so good. Oh, Koichi's mom and sister.
行方不明だったキラさん。あれでしょ？顔なし死体で見つかった。怖いよね。どうしてくれんのさ。
Oh, because the face was ripped off, so
Yeah.
they... Yeah. These fuckers.
4、5、6、7、8準備運動終わり
Oh.
そんなにしょっちゅう街眺めて盛り映えしないのに面白いですよ。もう面白いです。この街はこうして1999年の夏はほとんどの人知ってるか
Hmm? What?
マジだよ。そうなんだよ。よく知らないじゃん。
Making up lies.
Classic pose. Josuke pose. That's it? Oh. Yeah, that's it.
So nice. What a nice ending. That was disturbing.
Yeah. When he's rubbing his face on the nurse or the EMT's hand.
Oh my god. What a great episode. I feel so satisfied. It's like I'm watching Haikyuu right now. Like, it's just so nice. They defeat him. He gets exactly what he deserves. Dragged off straight to hell. You know, like, everyone just starts living their best life. Having a great time. Josuke steals all of Joseph's money, which is fantastic.
I mean, he's gonna get like a third of his inheritance. Or I guess he said no to it, but maybe he still will.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will happen now after he said no, but then made such a stunning impression.
Yeah.
Very nice. It was just so good. And Joseph has a little baby as well. I was wondering.
Was it Joseph or Jotaro?
It said Joseph.
Okay.
I wonder if this is my theory, is that the baby's mom was one of the women that Kira killed, and he didn't know that she had a baby, so that's why no one's been looking for a missing baby the entire time.
Shit.
Because if someone's baby went missing, this is a small town, everyone would be looking for the baby,
so fucking
regardless of whether
smart.
the baby turned invisible or not. That has no effect on. There was a baby, and now
It
it's
literally
gone.
must have been.
It must have been like a single mother who just
Had a crazy baby on accident.
or the baby developed its standability to hide while she was being murdered.
Or something, yeah.
Like it turned invisible while she was getting attacked.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
That's crazy. I bet you're right.
Which is also really sad, but nice that she has a home now.
Yeah, and if that was the case, then she wouldn't be stolen away.
Yeah, just stolen from someone else who's still
She'd be
looking
actually
for her.
adopted. Yeah. Wow. I bet you're right. That's crazy.
I think
But yeah,
so.
I love this ending. It's such a good ending to such a good part.
Very wholesome. I'm really sad. I'm so sad now for Hayato because he, like he said, he like never was like very close with his dad anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously while he was like caught up in this whole thing of
He
a
hasn't had a
serial
chance to
killer
warn his dad.
impersonating his dad. He was never thinking like, well, what happened to my dad then? He was thinking, holy shit, there's this
We're gonna
guy in
die.
here in my home hanging out with my mom, and he could kill us at any second. But then now that like that's all done with, he like has the chance to be sad about it, and it's really sad. But I'm glad that he seemingly has a better relationship with his mom now as well. Mm-hmm. And they can be with each other.
Yeah, big time.
And yeah, since the face got ripped off of Kira, it was still the rest of his body of Kira, so he like it wasn't a weird thing where it was like, oh no, the dad of this family got ran over by an ambulance. Which is crazy as well. I wasn't expecting that, but it was perfect.
I love this. Yeah, this part is like so. It's so good. It's so good.
It was really...
Every episode is awesome. Would you say how would you rank this part against the other ones you've seen?
Oh,
do you have a tier list?
Okay, here's the thing. Joseph in part 2 was like my favorite character out of the whole thing, but this part was so much better. I liked it because it incorporated aspects of all the previous ones, but just a much more like relaxed. I love exploring the town. I love the big cast of characters, but without it feeling like we were leaving people behind.
Yeah.
And we could, you know, go with, so it wasn't like part 3 where we were like I took a lot of aspects of part 3, but removed the problems of like, we have a lot of people, but it's too many for what we're doing, and they're all together, so we have to kill them and then bring them back, and you know, be flying all over the place, and none of it makes any, and constantly going into different hotel rooms, even though that has proved to be a bad idea every time. But like this time it was just because they were in a town, they all lived there, stuff was happening sporadically, especially at first, like things were happening like here and there, and like more people were getting added, and but they kept a good job of like keeping everyone like as relevant as they needed to be. Not everyone needed to be the main character, but I loved, you know, having the side characters, and everyone shows up at the end, and we get a little glimpse into what their life will be like from then on. Mm-hmm. Like it's just really good, and I really liked Josuke as well. He was very similar to his dad, who he never met, but somehow turned out very similar with like the mind games and little tricks, and like, you know, oh, you thought this, but it was actually this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the
reincorporation is good, because that's something that like JoJo basically never did before, other than like a character you thought was dead is actually now a cyborg or some shit, like something like that. Like they that was a big like serious like a thing that was done on purpose this part, clearly, as opposed to the other ones. Was we got this big complicated, you know, area with all these different characters and different backgrounds and stuff, but they aren't just one-offs. They get brought back, and they're not.
The like looking back in that alley was used twice.
Yeah.
Like multiple times. Like it was just
three times. It was like when it was first introduced,
and then Rohan used it, and then
for Cheap Trick, and then
And then, so it was like I just love like bringing everything back around. Cinderella again, she got it was everything I loved. Like almost, I think every character at least had like 2 occurrences. Yeah. Where they were... Even
that guy with the lock or whatever, which was like, you know, he showed a silly one-off, and then he shows up for like the Rohan thing, and then he's checked up back up on the end. The only guy who wasn't was the other... Or no, he was there when Rohan was introduced. Yeah.
He was hanging around.
Everybody was used more than once, and like the time that they were reused was different than the first time, and it wasn't just a rehash. Because like we had Oingo Boingo, and then we had Whole Horse and Boingo. In part 3, and it's like, okay, we're reusing them, and that's great, but it's the same thing again. So
it wasn't interesting or different in any way. It was the same, and it was already done the first time.
It was worse the first time, like the second time that we saw Oingo Boingo. Because Oingo Boingo, the first time, was like stupid as fuck, but funny and really dumb when he was in the car and he had the bomb orange, and he was like smoking 20 cigarettes and like dying, and he ate the cigarettes and shit. That was stupid. And it was funnier then, but then when you bring it back, and Whole Horse is like literally
looking in the
pipe, yeah. And it's like that. There was anyway. We've been over that, but like the point is, in this part, they reused a lot of things and brought a lot of stuff back, but it was always like oh my god, I forgot about that. Oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, it's funny that, you know, the dude's there like overseeing the gambling and stuff like that, and keeping everything fair, because it's different than him scamming people like Koichi before. And everybody got a decent amount of play. All the side characters.
I think the only person who didn't come back again was the kid that had the hole in his cheek.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
But like everyone, that was kind of a one-off. I didn't need to see him again. Yeah. I didn't. You know, it was just everything was so good.
And there was a good mix of like villains who are actually villains versus villains who are actually just
villains who are just
people.
Like dudes who got like went on a power trip, but then were able to just still be normal, even if they were still kind of shitty. It doesn't really matter, because it's fine to be a shitty normal dude as long as you're not like murdering people. It's very nice, very good. It's like everything about it was just so wholesome. It was really intense where it needed to be, funny where it needed to be, chilling out where it needed to be. Like the pacing was really good.
The pacing, yeah.
I feel like in part 1 and 2, the pacing was also pretty good.
It was good, but it was rushed. It was very fast.
It was very fast. It was like, I never felt like it was dragging behind, but it was really rushed. There was no chill time. But there's a smaller cast of characters, and like the themes were different, so it still worked. But then part 3 was just such like all they trying to bring in the stands, but like everything other than the idea of the stands, and even to an extent 90% of the stands was just so poorly. Like, it just wasn't an enjoyable experience to watch it. And then this one, like, took everything together, combined the stands with, like, more of the pacing and themes and stuff from specifically part 2, I feel like, and, like, really brought it all together. Yeah. And it's just, like, I don't have anything bad to say about it, I don't think. It was really good.
So you'd say it was your favorite part?
I think it's my favorite part.
So for you, let's just say your stack ranking. I basically
I feel like it's pretty obvious.
It's obvious, but just say
part 4, part 2, part 1, and then part 3. Like, part 3 far below.
Yeah.
Other than the fight at the very end. But even though the fight at the end of part 3 was good, I can't let that sway me.
It makes up for a lot of it, but it doesn't. Is the thing. It wasn't just the fight. It's like from the pet shop. Well, if you like the Darby gambling stuff,
it was alright.
Which is good. The first Darby brother, not the second one.
Yeah.
The first Darby brother. There's a lot of meme potential in part 3, but like first Darby brother, and then we get to pet shop, and then that onward with Vanilla Ice and shit like that. That was all awesome and super high stakes and good until the very end. So that was like maybe 8 to 5 episodes, something like that, at the very end. But it was 50 something episodes long or whatever it was. But this episode, like, it had its, off episodes towards the beginning especially, but it only got better as time went on.
Yeah, it felt like at the beginning there was a few more lingering part 3 aspects, like, hanging around in there, but it found its own identity really quickly, and I appreciate that, because some of the stuff in part 3 wouldn't have been as much of a problem if it wasn't combined with the 50 episodes on either side of it also being just as bad.
Yeah.
So this one, like, the few off ones are like not really as relevant and don't bother me.
Yeah.
Just because the rest of it was so good and so consistently getting better and better and better, and it literally just got better the whole time.
And artistically, it got better. Like how like the art has always been like good if you compare it to like the manga and stuff like that. All the like body horror things and like the weird way he draws stuff. But then in this, it translated so much better to screen in this versus part 3. There was more palette swaps. There was more.
Yeah, they really brought back the palette swaps.
And everything were so well drawn.
Making everything look cool, not just disgusting. Part 3, like the times where there was weird body horror, a lot of the times it was just like it wasn't visually interesting. Like things can be disturbing but interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But part 3 didn't really like it was mostly just gross and like you didn't need to do that. But so then this one there was like still those aspects but just at a higher level. Yeah
like if you think about when the baby was introduced and like everything was turning invisible and it was like parts carved out of the tree, the water and everything, and like
the blood in the water and
like, just there was so much stuff like that. The powers were so well translated visually. The tension in intense moments was
Everyone's
so much
ability
stronger,
was so
especially
different.
at the end. Yeah.
And people kept gaining new abilities, but they were still like unique. Like Echo's had his 3 abilities.
The evolutions,
and like they're all very interesting. But I also like that not everyone kept leveling up. Like Josuke didn't get like an extra.
He didn't get a new power. He just uses power in better ways.
Exactly, and because in part 3. What like really took it to the next level was when Jotaro learned how to stop time. But Josuke didn't really need to do that because his ability was already awesome. He just started using it in creative ways and like outsmarting Kira.
And that's generally what sets apart like good shonen fights from bad shonen fights. Is like, in order for the story to improve, we need to give the main character a severe power up. And, they didn't train for it. They didn't do anything. They just have it. In Jotaro's case, I like it because it was set up so far in advance that he had it. It was just, he didn't know because he just thought he moved really fast. But anyway. But yeah, it's like, it's the hallmark of any good shonen when you're like, okay, we could give them a new power up or we could just make them smarter and use their ability in interesting, cool
Especially
ways.
when the villain is getting power ups.
Yes.
Then it makes it even more intense because it's like, okay, he has a new thing, but we don't have anything new,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to rework what we already have. He gets a new ability that can, like, destroy everyone. We get an 11-year-old child who happens to be a genius and is awesome. However, at the end of the day, that's not really much. I mean, it turned out to be.
Well,
but
yeah,
you know
because
what I mean?
he just used Kira against himself, and that's why people love Hayato so much, is because he didn't have a power. He just, like, and it's so refreshing in the series of JoJo. That's why people, I think, love Hayato so much. Maybe they don't consider it like this, but, like, the show is full of the kind of things that you complain about all the time, of, like, JoJo time sometimes gets out of hand, especially when you're, like, artificially creating stress in the viewer by having people 5 foot away. It's like, it's so thickly spread onto every situation that, like, it ends up, like, making you think, oh, come on, like, this again, where they're just, like, 5 feet away.
Where they're like, oh, I thought I heard my nephew
and it's like the only
whatever.
reason that like, you could have just had Jotaro not notice Josuke's voice, and it would have been more believable than him noticing it and then thinking that it was nothing, even though they're there to talk about Kira. It's like, you're doing it on purpose, and that's why it's dumb. But it's also just part of JoJo and makes it silly. I forget what I was saying. Anyway, it's just like, what was I saying? What was I saying that I was connecting with something?
About it being artistic or
That's not what I was saying. I know that's not what I was
I
saying.
don't know what you were saying. I can't remember.
Never mind. God damn it. I was making a really good point and you weren't paying attention to a word I was saying. I was paying attention. God damn it. I was going somewhere with that. Help me.
I'm
Help.
trying to
What
remember.
were we just talking about? Just say what we were just talking about. Help me.
We were just talking about the power-ups and how at the end Jotaro like got the ability to stop time. This time it was outsmarting using Kira against himself. Why people like Hayato.
Right. Oh yeah, because JoJo, especially in part 3, and historically over the course of the whole series, it's a lot of the tension in JoJo relies on making the main characters dumber. So to have an actual smart character who, like the audience, is immediately like, oh, that must mean this. I'm acting on that immediately and not wasting any time. It's so refreshing, and it makes it so much more intense. It's why the Dio fight was so much more impactful, because every time, like, they would figure something out about, like, oh, he broke the clock. Kakyomi's like, oh, he broke the clock. Stop the clock. Stop time. He can stop time. Oh shit. And then he communicates that immediately. Then eventually, in the last moments that Jotaro gets that information, instead of it being like, oh no, it's just out of reach. But it doesn't matter, like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason why Hayato is, because he really is beloved. He's like, everyone loves that he, like, jumps in front of the bomb and, like, takes the hit.
Yeah.
With gambling that he'll die from the
Super
bomb.
badass.
It's awesome. And that's just, like, it's emblematic of what makes part 4 stand out. Especially after the slog of part 3. It just takes everything part 3 did and just sharpens it and makes it way better. It fixes all the problems of part 3 and makes this is what it could have been. Yeah. Basically. And yeah, it's so great.
I feel like they had the perfect amount of episodes. You know?
Yeah.
Like it was I felt like there wasn't really any time wasted, and also I think that has to do with the characters being so much more entertaining just to be around.
Yeah.
Because that was the other problem with part 3. We were spending so much time with these guys and none of them had a personality.
They didn't have a Rohan. Like the closest thing we got to Rohan in part 3 was Whole Horse. And it wouldn't have been as interesting because he's not as quirky. Like, that's the thing. I think Rohan's introduction, it just shakes things up so fucking much. It gives us a main character that is immediately a fan favorite. He's a fucking crazy person. He'll just lay everything on the line, and, like, you don't have anybody like that in part 3. You have Abdul, who's like a Mary Sue kind of guy. He's just always wants to do the right thing. You have Polnareff, who's just angry and doesn't listen to logic and is just going off doing his own fucking thing. Jotaro, who doesn't talk. You have Joseph, who is dumber than he was in part 2, and Kakyoin, who barely does anything the whole series. So, like, and then if you compare that to Koichi, who's smart, he's good-natured, he is kind of a Mary Sue guy, but he just is also super badass and fun to be around.
He's awesome. He has, like, a great heart. He's, like, doing the right thing. We have Okuyasu, who's, like, an idiot, but, like, so lovable at the same time.
And has a super
and
overpowered
his power
ability.
is, like, super crazy.
So that creates tension right there.
We have Josuke, who's actually smart. He's able to use his power in, like, super cool ways. He's like tricking people and stuff.
He has a really useful power.
And he loves his friends as well. And like I
Yes.
think that's the thing is the bond between even like the random side characters. I just feel like
Mikitaka and
like
shit. Like,
they're
yeah.
so the bond there is so much stronger, and it really feels like they care about each other.
Because the
whereas in
characters
part
themselves
3,
are
they
really
were
well-written.
they were going on this crazy journey, and I never felt like they really, you know,
They didn't have anything to bond over. They just like fought together because they had to fight, but like they didn't have a bonding moment like Fungami Yuya. When Yuya saves Jotaro and Koichi from that guy when they're in the paper, like it feels earned because they fought and they did all the shit and they had arguments, they spent time with each other, and he had a choice to save them and he chose to do it, and then it deepened their relationship even more. Yeah, and it's just like there were opportunities for characters to bond, and that's allowed to happen when the characters themselves are so written, the main characters. Like when they actually have depth to them or have something interesting about them, or like I don't know, something to them. And then obviously Jotaro as well. Like I said at the start of the series, because he's not the main character and his whole purpose is not to stand there, look badass Clint Eastwood type guy and say nothing and do nothing of real substance until the final fight. He actually is in a role where he has to explain things to Josuke. He has to mentor him. He has to be the adult in the situation. He's forced into a Joseph situation in part 3 where he's taking that role. So it forces him into more situations and to take the lead. And
also
that
it just
helps.
lends itself more to his personality as well, because if he's going to just be cool and badass and kind of quiet, he's not the main character, so no one's asking him to be outgoing and like, you know what I mean? Like he's not.
In part 3, that he was in that situation, but because Polnareff was there and he's the actual main character of part 3, he ended up taking that rope. It's just
I guess what I'm saying is because he's not in every single episode, it doesn't get his like standing off to the side being cool doesn't get old because we're not just confronted with it every time we're looking at the screen.
If you compare Jotaro, I mean, like isn't like that anymore. Like
guess.
if you compare him to part 3, it's like he didn't do that at all this whole season. There was never a time where he's like standing off there while everyone else is yelling and then, you know, pulls out his stand and just owns shit. He like is involved in the conversations that are going on constantly. In part 3, that just wasn't the case. And it's because his purpose in part 3 was to be more subdued, just be the powerhouse in the back who, like, you know, was the one to put things together at the very end or whatever. And that's it. But it's a question of the roles, I think.
I also love how he just loves Koichi as well. Like,
yes.
After that fight, and then he just, in the end, he's like, "Aw, you're awesome,
I'm glad
kid."
I came here and met you because you're a guy I can rely on.
Yeah.
He like really trusts, and I love that too. It's like the main the Koichi exists outside of the main character. That's something about it's something that JoJo is often shit on for and I think also praised for, because everybody loves they're called the Joe Bros. It's like the guy who is the friend of the main character who's actually the main character. We got Polnareff, we got partly Caesar but not quite, and we have fucking Speedwagon. Who like they're really involved. They're the Joe Bros. They're like the best friend of the main character, and Koichi, I think is a good example because a lot of people complain because it's like, oh well, I thought this was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, not Polnareff's Bizarre Adventure or Koichi's Bizarre Adventure, but like I think it's underestimated or undervalued how good it is that the side characters don't exist for the main character, because that's something that always happens in shonen. Naruto's a perfect example of that. It's like everything revolves around the main character, and it's just like it makes the world feel cheap. And in a series like this, where the setting is like a huge part of the story, it would be so cheap if Koichi just followed fucking Josuke around. So for him to have that relationship specifically with Jotaro, outside everybody is living their own thing, it makes the town feel alive. It makes it feel like a place that they live, not just a place where Josuke lives and everybody is.
And I do love that it wasn't just one of the characters that had like side story. Like we like kind of like rotated around and went like it was different matchups, like Rohan and Josuke going after someone.
Yes.
We have Koichi and Rohan going after someone. We have Koichi by himself, like, you know, off getting attacked
by his girlfriend.
and you know there's just like multiple different like combinations. and they used a lot of them. It wasn't just oh, this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but then it's like every episode is just Koichi doing his own thing.
Yeah.
It's like I never felt like we spent too long away from the main character.
Yeah,
you know?
but Josuke wasn't in every episode.
Exactly.
And,
Everyone, and then there was episodes without Koichi as well. So there was
it was very balanced, very, very balanced. It just makes it because when you set it in the town and you make the town so important, like the villain's main thing is like, I'm not going to run, because if I'm I'm fleeing, and if I'm fleeing, I'm living in fear, and if I'm afraid, then I'm stressed, and then I can't live a peaceful life. I refuse to do that. My whole life is set around me feeling content and calm. So, you can't leave the town. The town is like, they always talk about like, oh, there's a dark shadow over this town. There's a fucking, there's always, they talk about the town like it's a living thing and like it matters, because it does matter to the characters. Yeah. And it's so good because the town is matters to me too. It makes the town matter to me because the town is beautiful. All the color of the sky, the grass, everything. And
keeping in touch with all the people that we've come in contact with also helps make the town, like, it feels like there's something worth fighting for in the town. Rather than just cruising across a million different countries where, like, you can just fight people and kill everyone and it doesn't matter. There's no lasting repercussions because you're just passing through.
Exactly. It matters if something gets destroyed or burned down or something. Like, it matters if, like, a family home is fucking destroyed. Like, there were times in part 3 where it's just like, oh, well, I guess Enya just murdered this entire village, I guess, or something. Like, they would just murder villages. They would like go through and shit would just fucking get destroyed, and it was like a wake of destruction.
People's dogs every day. Like...
But the thing in part 3 is it was way more of a comedy. It was way more of like, it's silly and bombastic and insane, and it did like it was telling a different story. So I don't blame it 100%, but like in this one, it set out to make the town matter. And it did everything good to make it matter. It makes me care about Morio. All the landmarks are so important. I know about the Morio Station. I know about the Morio Grand Hotel. That's where Jotaro's staying. I know about the Angelo Stone. I know about Rohan's house. Okuyasu's house is all run down and fucked up and abandoned. I know where Josuke's house is. Their school, next to the middle school. Koichi's house is, or not Koichi, Shigechi's house is over in the fucking wilderness. It's like, there's a sense of place, and it feels like it's alive. It feels like it's like something to save, to care about. And that matters. It matters a lot, especially when the series goes out of its way to say that it matters to them in the first episode, that Josuke is going to protect this town. That's his purpose. That's what he wants to do. So to say that in the first episode and then stick to it to the very end is a big deal. It's a big thing to like be able to create that sense of care in the audience about what you set out to do in the beginning. It shows really serious writing skills. I don't know how many of you guys write out there, but it's a big thing in writing once you start doing it, like writing fiction, is it's fucking hard to like have a feeling or a concept in your head, or like if you're writing from a place of feeling or something in you, to put that onto a page, to put whatever words onto a page, and then fucking whenever somebody else reads it later, for them to pull that same feeling off the page indirectly from you. It's like to make that a one-to-one transaction is so difficult. It's a really fucking difficult thing, and most anime we watch don't fucking get it right. So it shouldn't be underestimated how big of a deal like Morio as a town is in this story, and how great it's written. It's awesome. Araki did everything right for fucking Morio, and it's so awesome, and I love this part so much.
It's really nice.
Thank you for watching it with me.
Yes. And thank you for watching it with us. Unfortunately for you,
we're going to be taking
a break from JoJo. As most of you guys know, we've had like a lot of problems with watching JoJo. And even though we loved this part so much, we just feel like it's time for a change. We've been watching it for like a lot, like what, like
more than a year,
over a year, of just constantly watching JoJo, and we just feel like, you know, we're wrapping up Haikyuu right now. We're on to Boruto. We just feel like we really need a change for just even for the channel, and also just for our own sakes, because we're the ones like watching this every day. And even if we really like something, it's probably best to, like, you know, switch it up every once in a while.
And we might come back to it, because once I feel like taking a step away from JoJo will make us appreciate it more. You'll be more likely to want to watch like part 5 and 6.
Yeah.
We just need time away from it.
We just need the stamina to build back up. Because even though this season was like so much easier to binge than it was the other time, I also feel like a lot of times JoJo kind of took the back seat.
Yeah.
Of our priorities, just because it doesn't like get as many views, and a lot of times, especially during part 3, we weren't excited to watch it.
And people weren't excited to see our reaction, and why would they?
So it was just kind of like a cycle of it. It just wasn't very good for a long time. So we're just gonna take a break, but we're gonna be watching other shows. So like stick around and see what's gonna be coming out. We're not 100% sure yet, but yeah, not JoJo.
Pretty much it. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever want to watch part 5?
I think I would want to watch part 5, but I just want to like.
We need a palate cleanser, because like we love Haikyuu, we really like Boruto. We don't love Boruto, but we really like it. When it's good, we love it. When this is good, we love this. We love these last few episodes, and most of the part. It's just it's a lot of shonen, and it's a lot of long running stuff. Yeah. Well, because we started watching this, I think in December of 2020. I think we watched, and then we watched like all of part 1 and most of part 2, and then we started posting it like early 2021, and we've been watching it since then. And we like part 3 was obviously such a slog. We don't need to remind you guys of that, but like, we've just had this solid thing in our schedule for so long. And yeah, now that we're finishing
when we
IQ,
first started our channel, we had a really rapid turnover of shows, and
it was so
honestly,
refreshing.
we really miss it because it allowed, like, because we were coming into each show with so much energy, we could binge it. Like when we started JoJo, we binged part 1 and part 2 really fast. So it was. I just want to have that, and with Haikyuu, it's like relatively long, but we've just been plowing through it and like loving every second and just like flying through because it's still fresh for us and it's not overstaying its welcome. Whereas this, even though we really like this part, we're ready for something other than JoJo. Yeah. So our options are slog through parts 5 and 6, which is another 60-70 episodes. That'll take probably the next, I don't know, at least half a year to get through. Or just take a break, watch like 3 or 4 other series, and then get back to it eventually. I know a lot of you guys, like the people who are here for JoJo, are so
pretty much
loyal.
only watch JoJo. I'm aware of that, so thank you guys for sticking with us. If you stuck with us for part 4, part 3, part 2, part 1, we will most likely be getting back to it. But I'm gonna be honest, it might not be for a while because we just want to stretch our legs here and get off the JoJo train for a while. Because when you're binging a show this long back to back, it can be kind of tiring. And especially
even when stuff's getting better and problems are getting fixed, it's still the same show written by the same person and like this like
a similar feeling.
Feeling. So we just
need a break, not because we hate JoJo. I feel like if anything, we love JoJo right now probably as much as we ever did. It's just we need to take that positivity and hold on to it, and not be hasty and rush into the next part. We want to enjoy it. We want to revel in this. Give this some time to breathe, because this is one of the best seasons of anime ever. It's so good. So we want to stick with that. Maybe we could do some JoJo discussions or something like that. We got the podcast set up now. We're gonna start doing stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for sticking with us for part 4. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.